All right, today we are jumping headfirst into what is, no exaggeration, one of the most action-packed openings to any story ever written, the first chapter of the Gospel of Mark. If you're looking for a slow burn, this isn't it. This story just explodes right out of the gate.
And if there's one single word, one key that unlocks this entire chapter, it's this one: immediately. Mark uses this word over and over and over. It's not just a tick, he's doing it on purpose. He's building this incredible, breathless momentum to show you that the arrival of Jesus' mission is urgent, it's unstoppable, and it absolutely cannot wait.
So how does an action story like this kick off? Well, funnily enough, not with the main character, but with his opening act. Mark sets the stage by introducing this incredible messenger, a rugged figure who is actually prophesied centuries ago, showing up to announce that someone way, way bigger is on his way.
Mark just drops this quote right in from the prophet Isaiah, and it's like a spotlight hitting the stage pointing directly at John the Baptist. He is that voice crying out in the wilderness, and his message is so simple and so direct. Get ready, the Lord is coming. You can feel the urgency. This isn't just an announcement, it's a command.
And let me tell you, John is a character you would not forget if you met him. The text gives us this really vivid picture, right? He's wearing clothes made of camel's hair, a leather belt, and he's eating locusts and wild honey. He is the definition of a wilderness prophet, living this rough, solitary life that perfectly matches his raw, uncompromising message.
And this is so important because John is crystal clear about his own role here. He basically says, look, I'm just the messenger. He is the Lord. John's baptism with water, it's symbolic. But the one who's coming, he's going to baptize with the Holy Spirit, which is on a whole other level. John even says he's not worthy to untie the guy's sandals. I mean, that's humility. It just establishes this huge gap in power right from the start.
And then, he arrives. Jesus comes from Nazareth, he gets baptized by John, and the entire scene just goes from 0 to 100. The sky literally tears open, the Spirit comes down like a dove, and this voice booms from heaven, confirming exactly who Jesus is. This is it. This is the official, cosmic kickoff to his whole mission.
But you know what happens right after this incredible, divine moment? There's no party. No victory lap. No, that same Spirit, immediately, there's that word again, drives Jesus straight out into the wilderness for 40 days. His first test begins right away, and it's going to be an intense one.
So this wasn't some spiritual retreat. This was a full-on trial by fire. He's out there completely alone with wild animals, and he's being tempted by Satan himself. It's only after he endures this whole period of testing and preparation that his public ministry can really begin. It's like a foundational trial he had to pass before the real action could start.
Okay, so once John the Baptist is arrested, his job is done, and that's the cue for Jesus' mission to launch into high gear. And what's the first thing you do when you start a world-changing movement? You assemble your team. And, in classic Mark fashion, it happens fast.
This is his opening line as he starts preaching in Galilee, and wow, what a declaration. He's basically saying, okay, everyone, the wait is over. Everything you've been waiting for, it's here, right now. So you need to respond. It's a call for an immediate change of heart and belief. And the way he recruits is just stunning. He walks by the sea, sees two brothers, Simon and Andrew, fishing. He says, "Follow me," and immediately they just drop their nets and go. A little further on, he sees two more brothers, James and John. He calls them, and immediately they leave their boat and their own father to follow him. There's no hesitation, no let me think about it. The authority in his voice must have been undeniable. So now he's got the beginnings of his crew, and this is where Jesus starts to show everybody what this authority they're all sensing really looks like. And it's not just in what he says, but in this rapid-fire series of powerful actions that just leave everyone speechless.
What is this? I mean, can you imagine? That's the question echoing through the synagogue in Capernaum. These people had heard teachings their entire lives, but this was something totally different. They could literally feel the power behind his words, a kind of authority they had never, ever experienced before.
And right there, the crowd answers its own question. See, a man with what's called an unclean spirit cries out, and Jesus just commands it to leave, and it does. And in that moment, everyone's mind is blown. They realize his authority isn't just about smart words. He has actual power over forces that nobody else could control. You better believe news about that spread like wildfire.
After that, Mark just hits us with this incredible highlight reel of power. It's one thing right after another at a dizzying pace. He heals Simon's mother-in-law.
By that night, the entire city is literally at his front door bringing their sick. He heals countless people, casts out more demons, and then he does something huge. He touches and cleanses a man with leprosy, a guy who was a total social outcast. The momentum is just off the charts.
And you can just imagine the public's reaction. It was overwhelming. People were amazed, they were astonished. This was not a quiet little ministry. The text says the whole city showed up at the door. Every single person he healed became another voice spreading the news, and his fame just exploded across the whole region.
But here's the twist. All of this fame, all of this attention, it actually created a brand new, totally unexpected problem. The very success of his mission was now starting to get in the way of the mission itself.
So here's the perfect example of this paradox. After Jesus heals that man with leprosy, he gives him a very specific warning. Don't tell anyone about this, probably because he knew what would happen with the crowds. But the guy is so overjoyed he just can't help himself. He does the exact opposite and tells everybody.
And that one act created a massive logistical issue. His fame became so huge, the crowds so intense that he couldn't even walk into a town openly anymore without being mobbed. The very power that drew people to him now forced him to stay out in these desolate, lonely places. And, crazily enough, people still came from everywhere to find him.
And that's the kind of cliffhanger Mark leaves us on at the end of this insane first chapter. It really makes you think, right? It poses this fascinating question. When a power this absolute and a message this authoritative collides with our messy, chaotic human world, what happens next? Well, as we've seen, the results are explosive, they're life-changing, and they are incredibly complicated.